Welcome back. We're going to jump into this third segment, and it's something that I can't say that I have ever witnessed first. Well, I guess I did witness to some extent firsthand when I worked in D.C. Lived in Northern Virginia. But we're going to talk about rental price ceilings. And it's kind of I'll call it a local phenomena. It's in, I don't remember exactly how many states it's in, but it's not in that many states. It's usually in localized areas, talking about places like New York City, DC has it. And what they do is they set a price ceiling because, again, the government in their infinite wisdom has decided that the price of rent is too high. And so they decide that they are going to set a price ceiling, and it's a price below the market equilibrium price, and it establishes a maximum allowable price in the market. So you've got your supply curve, you got your demand curve for rental properties, and when those two intersect and the market hits equilibrium, then they have what they said is, as we've talked about in the past, it's cleared the market. So it's set an equilibrium price. And let's say that equilibrium price for a one-bedroom apartment is $800. And what the government does is it comes in and it sets a price ceiling. It's a $600. So again, it's going to be down here below the equilibrium price. And what that does is it sets an artificial I guess a barrier, and it makes it what the government thinks will be more affordable housing for low income families or families that are in need of what they call necessities. And so you've got these price ceilings, and it's usually in rental properties here in the United States. I live in Atlanta, so the state of Georgia doesn't have any rent controls. Tennessee, I don't think, has any rent controls. For some of you that live in Tennessee, you may think, man, it'd be great if we had rent controls in Tennessee because it would make it easier for me to afford to live in Tennessee. I mean, the price of housing in Tennessee is just ridiculous. So I could see where that you could have the state or maybe even the local legislature lobbying for some type of rent control. But they try to make that when the government enacts rent controls, it's similar to any other control that you see in the global market, where they're just trying to make necessities more affordable by setting the lower limit on the price, and it's setting that ceiling. So it's setting the maximum amount that they can charge for rent. And a rent control, if you're looking at other countries in the world, they have they use price ceilings for like pharmaceutical, gasoline, food. And so you can see them setting those price ceilings on those necessities in other countries. But what we're talking about today is we're again talking about rent control, and it just controls the rent, or the maximum amount that the needy or the impoverished or the low income families pay for rent. And basically what happens, again, as I said, it's a local phenomenon. And once you in a rent control situation, once you move into the apartment, your landlord can't raise your rent. So if you're lucky enough to get into one of these areas that has rent control and get moved in, and let's say you're paying this $400, then your landlord can't raise your rent. So it almost makes it extremely difficult for you to contemplate moving out of that apartment. You may not like the exact area where you live, or you may not like the apartment itself, but are you willing to pay, say, a couple of $100 more, or maybe even double price to go and live somewhere else? So it's impacting the budget, and it's so what you will end up is you'll have, with the lower rents, you have people start to rent rather than own homes. You've got young people not living in their parents' basements. You've got, 5 or 6 roommates, not all trying to share a 1-bedroom apartment. I mean, it does provide advantages on the consumer side, but if you're looking on the landlord side, it makes it extremely difficult, because with these rent controls, it is almost impossible to make improvements. You'll see a slowdown in the number of apartments that are available, because if it's in a rent control area, once they build an apartment and once they move in at $400, then you can't raise the rent. So you have a slowdown in the number of apartments that are being built. So what you end up having, and where you had if you think about the price floor, we ended up initially with the surplus. If you end up with a price ceiling, you end up with a shortage, because you have set that price ceiling below the equilibrium price. And so that makes it a shortage. And a lot of instances in areas where the government is trying to help subsidize low-income families, it's the low-income families and the needy that might not be able to even get into the apartment because of the shortage of the apartments let's say, I think I set it at $400. It's going to make it difficult for them to find any apartments, period, at $400. And again, what it ends up doing is creating a black market. And so, and again, I haven't had that much direct experience with it, but you hear these stories about, individuals subletting their apartment, and they will have, maybe it's a 1-bedroom and they sublet the couch to somebody to come sleep on the couch, or they sublet they're trying to increase their income by subletting their rent controlled apartments to others to live with them. It's an inefficient allocation. It's kind of a first come, first serve, and those individuals that manage to jump into the apartments on a first come, first serve basis, those are the ones that really benefit from it. They're trying to subsidize the indigent population's income and eliminate the black market. And you run into, I guess the argument now is, why not just subsidize their income? Why not let the free market manage the price of rent, rather than setting a price below the market equilibrium and ended up creating a shortage? Why not let the free market adjust that price on the rent and subsidize other areas of the income or other areas of a family's budget? So let the free market take care of the rent and give them additional subsidies to take care of food and clothing, maybe help pay some of their utilities. And so at the end of the day, to me, it makes sense. But again, you're talking about the government, but why not subsidize? If you're going to subsidize at all, let the free market take care of the rent and subsidize other portions of their budget. And you do see some subsidies going on. You've got the SNAP program, you've got food stamps, or I guess now they call it an EBT card. It's an electronic benefit transfer card. So you see individuals with these EBT cards at the grocery stores. Basically, they're on food stamps, but you'll see them swiping this EBT card just like a credit card. So, and then you've got Medicare Advantage, where you have some individuals, they call them dual eligibles. So they can get some of the programs that Medicaid gets, and they can get some of the programs that Medicare gets, and it's kind of a combination. But it's a way that you can allow the free market to still work on the rent side, but you can also subsidize and maybe get the assistance needed to that maybe deserving population. And again, you're talking about a price ceiling, which is different than a price floor. Remember, the price floor was you couldn't go below the price floor. Price ceiling, you can't go above the price ceiling. The price floor, you couldn't go below the price floor, so it actually initially ends up with a surplus. On the price ceiling, you can't go above the price ceiling, and inadvertently, I guess you could say, creates a shortage down on the rent side. So again, government trying to help where they thought they could help, trying to help either, subsidize workers with better levels of income, trying to subsidize farmers to help maintain or help kind of smooth out the variations in their revenue or income. And now you've got them dabbling in the rent control market, trying to help stabilize or trying to help provide affordable housing to individuals that need it. And all they're doing is just creating, in all these instances, especially with agriculture and the rent control, they're just ending up creating a black market. So again, not the best opportunity for the government to respond, but it is their attempt to dabble, and you see it in other countries, and we see it here. So with that, we're going to stop on our price floor and our price ceilings. And when I come back, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. We're going to talk about government and taxes. So see you soon.